Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! In the last episode we learned a little bit about Wilson's story, about Iris's story, and it's a little bit sad because it appears that the victim in the first case seems to be her father, and Herlock is a very close acquaintance to him, or was, because unfortunately Mr. Dr. Wilson died already. But we learned a little bit about that. But now we're back here, so we're just gonna straight away converse with Herlock about the music dog box disc. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard.
Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this.
That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken.
If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGillis down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yes, of course.
If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not?
Yes, you did. But I still don't understand.
It was precisely at that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars, like this.
That's amazing! The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image on the caramel.
Indeed, the caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitable soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting, the result of a precisely controlled solution.
How extraordinary!
Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and now without high sucrose and nourishment.
Yes, it sounds illegal.
From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played.
Alright, so let's talk about the music on the disc then. Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play?
Well, unfortunately, I have no idea.
No idea?
None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows?
No, I'm afraid not.
Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it.
But over time, a new type of player was produced which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe.
Why exactly?
Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result.
It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present.
But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem.
What do you mean?
As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another. And we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable.
I see.
So, that's why.
Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe.
Every single one? That's early for you. Always taking things too far.
But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution.
But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it?
Yes, that is certainly true, in the worst case. I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room.
What? Alright, so we'll have to go there, but let's talk about Mr. Magnus McGilded first.
Magnus McGilded, not a name I expected to hear again so soon.
Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial,
The newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case.
the murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not.
It would appear the case is not yet closed.
Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long.
Thank you, Iris.
Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do.
I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it?
Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with a pawnbroker.
Yes, you may be right.
Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windybank said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he?
Did he?
Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, where his words, I believe.
So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windybank's storeroom, gathering dust.
My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault.
And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure?
Well, there may be the occasional mix-up.
Caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now.
Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskerville story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of Baskerville. I should love to read it.
going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room?
Susie, what did you just say? You said the Hound of Baskerville. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's
because Mr. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course.
But Bruno, the Hound of the Baskervilles, has never been published.
What?
When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet.
I don't understand.
That's why he said that he'd keep it safe. Until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see.
So that's why the manuscript is at Windy Banks.
And yet how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on?
What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade! This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm gone. No, wait, Miss Lestrade! We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris?
Oh yes, just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourself at home.
Don't stand in the doorways, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some Mendelssohn? I won't take no for an answer. Mendelssohn it is then. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves well into the night. 15th April, 9:34 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it?
Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine.
And I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes' violin even now.
Best of all, I bet I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next to me next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult you with you about something, I wonder?
What's the matter, Susato-san?
It's about the telegram I received.
Ah, the one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose?
I've been summoned.
What? Summoned? What do you mean?
The telegram was from Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked me to see me.
The Lord Chief Justice? When?
Tomorrow morning.
What? Then we have to start preparing at once.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone.
Alone? What on earth for?
I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow.
What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy.
Oh, who could that be, I wonder?
Good evening, friends.
Ah, Iris, hello again.
And Gina, too. Yes, Ginny's going to stay with us tonight. She's going to sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny?
Well, yeah.
How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Jenny showed us. Wasn't it wonderful?
You mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we?
I think I've awakened natural talent. I could earn a living from it.
You might be getting ahead of yourself a little here. So, what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour?
Well, you see, I came to return this.
Wait, what? That's mine!
Oh my, however did you? I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius.
So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though.
Thank you.
Alright then, good night.
Yes, good night.
So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny?
I think I wouldn't fancy my chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this.
Yes, me too. Ha!
It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about.
I suppose. She probably wants to talk about the manuscript.
Yes, I suppose she probably does. Alright, but before we do that, we'll have to check things out here.
Bruno, what are you doing?
Look, I'm not gonna steal nothing, alright? It's all junk anyway.
Charming. I suppose I should engage our guests in conversation, really. Yeah, it seems like we can't check anything out. There's everything in checkmark. Yeah, but I can't find anything out of place. Okay, unfortunate, because okay, that was a misclick. I just wanted to... There she is. Maybe we can just talk. Gina looks very pensive over there. Are you alright, Gina?
I was just thinking, that's all. I wouldn't fancy me chances with lawyer gloves in a place like this.
Yes, you did mention that already.
Get off, did I? Well, nothing else really springs to mind, what's why?
What's wrong with this room exactly? I like it. Okay, so we are going to talk to her in a bit, it seems. So let's just converse with Iris then, the manuscript.
Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry. I needed a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris, not at all.
I don't know what all this is about, really, but... It's a story you made up, is it, Iris? The mental script, or whatever you call it?
It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries.
That is?
That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once. His partner.
Ah!
They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together.
Is that right, mister?
Apparently so. I was as surprised as you are, though.
And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my stories based on what actually happened.
So where's your old man now then?
He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land. And he'll be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him.
Oh, right. Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. Alright, so let's talk about the Hound of the Baskerville first. Iris, this Hound of the Baskerville story. I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts.
That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow from the other cases, I mean.
Oh, how?
I don't really know, but it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it and showed the manuscript to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that.
It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris. But this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances.
But why not? It's on one of my best works.
I'm not at liberty to say. Not now, so please, do not ask me.
Alright then, I won't.
But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, isn't it?
Yes. Hurley said it had to be somewhere very safe.
That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is. Keeping secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. Huh? If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason.
I think so too.
You lot are too trusting for your own good. But I can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris. I bet my life on it. What?
Hurley's lying to me?
Okay, that's weird, but we are going to examine the room and we are going to talk to Gina. I bet she has something to say. Okay, so she has two things to say. Let's start with your parents. I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, ever. Never did have. Oh. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we're born, not even our moms. But we all stick together. The old ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by.
So that's why you're a pickpocket.
Nah, diamond's my love. I love it. Get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how I all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't it? That's how I see it.
Oh, Gina.
I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents me. I was thought to make everything right. But I haven't listened to what Alice just said. It sounds like having parents ain't always easy either.
Oh.
I mean, if you know never had him, you don't feel like you always want to meet him.
It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Oh, Iris.
Alright, so let's talk about Sholmes. Just a second, can we present something? I just want to check out if we can oh, we have the armband already, so I'm not gonna do that. Sorry guys, I know you want to know about Sholmes' lie and we're gonna check that out.
Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris?
Well, he reckons to pop that manuscript or whatever, right? But come on, that's obviously a lot of rubbish.
Oh my! Why would you think that, Gina?
It's simple. If that story is really an old Winnie Bank story, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it without telling you.
But Hurley would never do something like that, I'm sure of it.
Ha! Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced lies the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't a Winnie Banks. You'd soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, don't. That chum's is lying like the rest of him.
If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes.
See?
Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris.
Oh my goodness, look at the time! Come along, Ginny. We should go back downstairs.
Yeah, alright.
And please don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you?
No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina.
You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning, I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, Ben.
Iris, it sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child.
Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruto-san.
Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at UMay University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on.
Naruto. Naruto.
That voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night.
It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone.
Gina?
She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty.
Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no?
I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Susato. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home. But I've been waiting for over an hour now.
Over an hour? Oh?
If you'll indulge me, look out of the window, my dear fellow.
What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night?
That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery.
Mr. Windybanks? Oh no!
It's simple. If that story is really an old Windybank story, there's no way someone from half around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Gina have gone? It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry, no, not really.
Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once.
Mr. Sato!
Sorry. Mr. Sato. April, 1:14 a.m. Baker Street. But sorry guys, we have reached the half-hour mark already. So if you want to see what this light in Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery is all about, you'll have to tune in for the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. See you then.